Okay, so here we go with our week 3 webinar for EDT610. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so our agenda for tonight is just to go over some general class things. I do this with each one, so I'll try to do it quickly with this one, and then go over the week 3 assignments to hopefully give you some tips about how to get through the week 3 assignments. Okay, so first off, when will grades be posted? Grades are, I post grades no sooner than the Tuesday after the class ends. Typically it ends up taking a little bit longer than that, but just make sure that all the assignments and everything are turned in and ready before that Tuesday after the class ends. As a reminder, the class ends the last week of class. The class ends on a Saturday, so all assignments for that last week, excuse me, for that last week are due by 11:59 p.m. on Saturday. However, if something happens that's out of your control and you need a little more time, you can always check with me, because oftentimes I haven't graded everything up to that point anyway, so I could easily give you a little more time. So if you contact me, I can let you know how that's looking. But that's only in an emergency. Other than that, just be sure that everything is turned in by that Saturday of the last class, because it is one day earlier than the other weeks. Discussion boards, try to do these earlier in the week. They do make more sense if you're doing them earlier in the week, and it also makes it easier for other students to respond to each other, for you to respond to other students, so if that is required. I do have a website, some samples of assignments there and some general tutorials and things. You can find that at tinyurl.com/theprofzone. Weekly meetings, weekly Collaborate sessions are scheduled as needed. If you do feel like you need a weekly meeting, go ahead and let me know, and we can certainly schedule one, and we'll throw it out there for everybody and see who shows up. But there are no points associated in the gradebook. They're just for your benefit, so we just schedule them as needed. Other than that, we have these pre-recorded webinars that go over the material, hopefully in a very succinct manner, that will help you out as well. Let's see, this right here, the pre-recorded ones, they're not in the gradebook anyway, so we don't really need to worry about that. For week 4, I am considering doing something like a Twitter chat, or maybe incorporating Instagram. I'm still kind of hashing that one out to see how that would work, but I will give you more information as that approaches. And since this is the week 3 webinar, you should be getting something pretty soon if you haven't already, if we're going to do something like that. And then one last little reminder here, always look at the rubrics. There are certain things that that are required to get points. It's always pains me a little bit if there's something in there that says, hey, this is worth 50 points, and you just don't have that in your assignment, and I have to dock it 50 points if that's what the case is. So just make sure you look at that rubric and don't miss those things. Okay, so our discussion board, let's go ahead and jump right into, our assignments here. So one of the first things we have is our discussion board. And our discussion board for this week, so let's go ahead and look under week 3. So remember, a couple ways you can find the discussion boards, as I'm sure you already know. You can just click on discussion board right here, or you can scroll down right here, and as soon as you see the week 3 discussion, click on there. Both of those links take you right to here, where you'll see all the discussion boards listed. So if we look at our week 3 discussion, we're talking about Web 2.0 tools. So kind of a very basic way to explain Web 2.0 is that Web 1.0, in contrast, is really the internet when it was just absorb only, read only. You didn't really interact much with the internet back then. It was just information. So you didn't create anything. You didn't really interact with it. So you were just taking in information. So that started to change at a certain point. I can remember my first instance of this back in the day, must have been probably around 1998 or so, where you remember the car manufacturer Saturn, you could actually go in and you could choose your car and choose the color and choose the model and the make and all that kind of stuff, and it would show you what the car was going to look like and even tell you what it was going to cost, and you could print out a sticker and you could take it into Saturn, and they would give you that car for that cost. So that was a little more interactive. So that was one of the first instances where I actually experienced Web 2.0. Some more modern examples would be, let's say, Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets. Those are all websites, essentially, the internet, where you are interacting with it. So obviously with a Google slide, kind of like this presentation that I have going right here, I created something using a website in this, essentially. So that's where it became Web 2.0, and it's just kind of continued to grow from there. Something like Kahoot might be considered Web 2.0. Quiz is. Gosh, I've got Freckle Math I use in my classroom. Brain Pop now. There's all kinds of Web 2.0 examples there. So as just a few. So basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be identifying one tool that fosters collaboration and one tool that encourages interactivity, using the Web 2.0 tools there. And then you're going to discuss the assigned topic, including pros and cons of using Web 2.0 tools in the classroom. So you're going to list both pros and cons, okay, of using Web 2.0 tools in the classroom. So a little bit of both. You might have a bias towards one or the other, but you want to make sure you include both. And then you want to think about it a little bit. What is the advantage of having these tools online as opposed to having the same process completed in a face-to-face, hands-on environment? So just consider that question right there and answer that to the best of your ability. And then this is probably one of those where if you could, label these parts right here so I know which question you're answering, which part of this question that you're answering, that does help me out quite a bit. So that is our discussion board. So our first assignment is assignment 3.1 here. It's on academic integrity. So I'll go ahead and bring that up as well. So let's go to week 3, and the assignment will be on academic integrity. This could be a collaborative assignment. If you liked your group last week, for the team assignment that we recently did, you can go ahead and stick with that group if you'd like to, and you can work with a group to create this presentation. My only requirement for that is I would rather have it be done using some Web 2.0 tools. So if you are being forced to email the presentation back and forth as you're creating the presentation, and only one person can work on it at a time, that's probably not harnessing those Web 2.0 tools. So you'd want to use something like Google Slides, or something where multiple people can work on the same presentation at the same time, and you can collaborate on that presentation without having to email it back and forth and only allowing one person to work on it at the same time. But basically, you're going to be creating a presentation on academic integrity. So we're talking about copyright, things like that. So you're going to want to consider these questions right here when you're creating your presentation. So what is creativity? What does a copyright symbol mean? Copyright rules and regulations, plagiarism, things like that. You're just going to want to go ahead and consider those things as you are creating your presentation. Like I said, I recommend Google Slides to create that if you're going to be working in a group especially. Our rubric looks something like this, and these are those things that you're going to want to go ahead and consider. But make sure you look at this rubric and make sure you include some of these things as well. All right, our next assignment is going to be called the Interactive Learning Taxonomy Assignment. And basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be reviewing or evaluating a blog that was completed. Okay, so you're going right here to week 3. Here's our assignment right there. You're going to go ahead and click on this right here. That's going to open up a blog, and you're going to be evaluating this blog right here. The way that you're going to want to evaluate that, though, is you're going to want to click on this template right here, and when you click on that template, It's going to go ahead and download. I can go ahead and open it up right here if I want to. It's going to go ahead and download that template, and that's the template you're going to want to use to evaluate this blog. Okay, when you open this up, it's probably going to look something like this unless you have a different word processor that you're using or a different version of Microsoft Office that you're using. So you're probably going to have to click on Enable Editing here. Okay, and then once you click on Enable Editing, you're going to basically want to answer these questions right here. Okay. So you could, if you wanted to, copy and paste this into a new document, or you can just begin to edit this document and then go up here and say File, Save As, and save a different, a new copy of it, and then make sure you answer each of those questions. It does say respond to each category with 3 or more sentences, so we're not talking about a full essay for each of these questions, but at least a decent answer there with at least a few sentences involved. And then don't forget about this one here. You want to answer this question where it says, does this lesson address the ISTE NETS standard number 1? Okay, and there's a standard listed for you. And you're saying it's got a 1 through a 4. You're saying it either completely addresses, if it's a 4, mostly addresses, or doesn't address at all. So you don't want to forget about that question right there. Okay, and here's a rubric for that assignment. Basically, it's saying, did you answer those questions that were in the template, and how did it address the ISTE net standard as well? So that's basically what that says there. Okay, so that's our second assignment, which is our final assignment. And that is it. So thank you very much. Hopefully this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'd be happy to help you. Thank you.